John, why are you scratching yourself so much over there?
Itchy.
Oh.
And there's so many different kinds of itches out there.
There are, yeah.
Right now,
I thought an ad would start like this. Keep going.
I'm feeling the spring travel itch.
Oh,
I know what I mean?
Done. I see what
I need to get some new threads
done.
for my adventures.
Yeah, you do. You need some luxe upgrades from Quince. High quality travel essentials. Guess what? At a fair price, John.
Okay, I'm intrigued, Dave. So how does Quince do it? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, how do they keep prices 50 to 80% below similar brands?
This is an easy one, John. They partner directly with top factories and cut out the cost of the middleman.
Well, and Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes for that luxury feel.
You didn't know much about them, and suddenly you know a lot about them. That's amazing.
I
have sweatpants, Henleys, cardigans, all from Quince, and they're a perfect fit.
They do look great on you, right?
You.
You're wearing all three.
All right.
For your next trip, treat yourself to the luxe upgrades you deserve from Quince.
That's right.
Go to quince.com/dadville for 365-day returns. You heard me. Mm-hmm. You thought you heard me wrong, but you heard me right.
That's almost an entire year.
If our calculations are correct, 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order.
That's QUINCE.com/Dadville to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Dadville. Dadville. Yeah. Hi, I'm Dave Barnes.
And I'm John McLaughlin.
And welcome to Dadville.
Dadville is a podcast where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of awesome dadding.
It's funny thoughts and deep talks.
So please, enjoy your time here in Dadville and enjoy this episode with Dave and me. John.
You know, John...
Just say it, Dave. Say it.
Two things that I want to talk about today.
I doubt it's just two, but go ahead.
Two of the things I want to talk about today. First is this, and you're read in on this, but our people aren't, and so I just want to tell them.
Well, they need to know.
If I had said that, it'd have been too much. But you saying that gives me permission. You and I live in a
great life. Is that where you're going?
Yes, I would say. Luxurious, but great is great too. You know, we live in a part of Nashville, heavily foot trafficked.
Yeah. Speaking of foot, just a side note, this is something that is not for the listeners, just for the two of us, and I just want to say it. We're close enough, obviously, that I don't have to say it, but I'd like to say it. I feel a little self-conscious. I just took my shoes off, and I'm like, do my feet not smell good? I don't know.
Oh, that's your feet. I thought it was avocado toast.
Okay, well, it could be both. That's an old avocado.
It's a pungent togetherness.
So I want to.
Well, look at me.
I know, but your shoes might have been off all day back here. Yeah. I just got off a flight. I get that gross flight.
Don't even
feeling.
Talk about which I want to. The grounding blanket that I got. That I'm not sure if it works, but I want it to work when I think about shoes off in the summertime.
Oh,
grounding to the earth.
That's a whole other episode.
We don't have time for that today.
Anyway, keep going. It's just that I got the gross plane thing, and there's something about a private jet that makes me sweat more.
You say that. So was that you that I saw there was a commode dump right above our house? And you always love Dave Matthews. You always
One
love
of
Dave
these
Matthews
days, we're going to hit you.
Okay,
go ahead.
So, and also, we're not going to talk about this, but we're going to earmark it for another day. Did you know we're getting a sushi restaurant in 12 South?
No, I didn't know that.
It's happening. Sushi-san.
You're always in on the know on the restaurant stuff. You knew about this last one. Gosh, can we talk about anything that is less interesting?
Yeah, we've already. Our mom stopped listening, so that's
of course not.
We're going to back out of that. But I'm excited about sushi.
Anyway,
Annie and the kids are just over the moon. But it's a nice lead into the fact that we do live in a very heavily foot trafficked area.
Other than Broadway, which is like our
12 South has to be.
It's got to be the silver medal.
Now, here's where I want us to pull out and potentially get more interesting. And so the two things I want to ask all the listeners that we're going to collectively ask our listeners today, John, what would you do in these scenarios? Okay, so it's a what would you do?
I'm genuinely curious because this is such a rare scenario for me because I'm like, I believe there is a definitive, this is what you do in this scenario. There's no gray area. everyone will say this answer. Yeah. I'll be so curious if anyone says anything differently.
Here's scenario one. We live in a place where a lot of people are starting to park on John and I's street because it ends in 12 South, or doesn't it? It starting here, talent 3, 2,
any talent.
Our street connects to 12 South, which is John and I are saying is a lot of tourists and people. Because of that, and the restaurants and all the miscellaneous that have been built in the last 6 to 9 months, a year.
Yeah.
Now where parking used to sort of terminate. Thank you. About halfway up the block.
Yeah.
Now it terminates much higher up the block.
You just can't get a parking spot
on the weekend in front of our houses, which is already sort of annoying enough. Like that's a whole other conversation. But that's littered with gray area.
Yeah.
This scenario doesn't feel that way. So Annie calls me the other day and she's like, "Hey, the moment I'm going to make some of this up, but the moment that we've dreaded has come to us," and I knew what she was talking about immediately. And that is that someone had parked at the end of our driveway. And I don't mean like a bumper kind of hanging over into the way, completely blocked our, formed a T with our driveway.
So Amy and I were sitting out on the porch at one point that day, and I looked across and I saw this car parked squarely in front of your driveway, and I just thought, I wonder who drives that car. They have friends over. There's no way it's not friends.
A big part of this, as we talk about what would you do here, is that my car, Annie's cars, are not in the driveway. That is their Mother Teresa. If she does
I would say,
still mad.
I see what you're saying. I would say that's irrelevant.
Oh, look, that's
irrelevant.
Okay. This is the kind of hot take I need. So, listeners, she calls me. She's like, someone has like. And I said, well, what are we going to do? She's like, well, I called the towing company. And I was like, great. Fully in line with it.
Yeah.
Now, what was tricky about this is that when you are so full of emotion, as we were, I know I villainized basically anybody in that moment. I'm like,
right.
But, I'm just like, and we're worked up and we're like, how could you do this? And it's just like the more we talk, the more worked up we get.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking in the windows, like who would do, and like I see a purse, which kind of throws me then. I'm like, oh, well, okay.
Right.
Well, I was ready for like some dude who's like ready to throw hands. We're like, we're pretty, okay. And I mean,
worked up.
Yeah. And not to mention that Amy and Annie are both on a text thread with a lot of the moms on the street. And this is a bit like a bumper over gets that text thread lights up. Like, can you, pictures, moms taking pictures. Like,
well, listen, in y'all's defense, which I believe I've already said, you don't need any defense here. This is cut and dry. But in your defense, this had happened months before down closer to 12th.
Yeah.
Some of our neighbors he is an ER doctor.
Yeah.
And it was not as blocked as you guys were, but it was blocked enough that they couldn't get a driveway.
Yeah.
And they had a towed.
Yeah.
As they should.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
So anyway, call the tow truck. Annie leaves. Now I realize pretty quickly that we're going to have a dilemma here because I know God's sense of humor. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to deal with this, not Annie. I just knew. I knew the minute that we called the tow truck, this is not going to be something Annie has to deal with because God loves that I have to deal with these things.
Do you immediately start thinking outfit? Like, you're going to have to speak with this person.
Yeah.
What's the outfit that's most intimidating?
I was once in a Village People cover band, so I put on all 4 of those.
Do you go construction worker?
That's what I'm saying. Like any of them feels like, you don't know what to do with me now.
Right.
I bet you didn't think of construction. I bet you didn't think a short-shorted cop was going to be here.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So, anyway, sure enough, Annie leaves to take our son to play soccer. And
she signs him up for the sport in the meantime.
And let me tell you, Annie is more equipped for this. Annie is much more confrontational is the wrong word. She's just more confident in those scenarios. Yeah, she's kind of our emissary if something kind of goes wrong somewhere. A lot of times we're like, hey, and she's like, I got it. She's calm, but she's direct. Yeah. She's good in those scenarios. But so I knew she wasn't going to be there. Sure enough, she leaves, and fast forward an hour. I've totally forgotten about it. I hear the doorbell and like my heart immediately starts racing. And so, the way our door is, we've got a window at the top, but not the whole door like y'all. So I'm like, what's the top? Is it, can I see eyes? If I can see eyes, it's somebody tall, which man, that's trouble for me. What if they want to,
What if they're like deep blue and you get lost?
Oh my gosh.
Again, mixed messages.
Oh, geez Louise. And so I'm like literally prepping with every step. I'm like, my heart rate's going up about 5 BPM every step. And by the time I get to the door, I kind of look out and it's two like college age girls.
Yeah.
So then it's like, I'm already thrown because I'm like, well, this is not what I thought.
Yeah.
So, but I know I sort of have to like own the space. Like when I walk out, I need to be ready for whatever because it could be anger. It could be, so I'm like kind of puffing my chest, getting ready, kind of open the door, and I'm like, hi. I mean, I'm already my version of confrontation, which is not, and I'm like, yeah. And like, and the girl just, I mean, I don't know that she could have been sweeter. She's like, do you know where my car was? It was parked right there. And
you know what you should have done? You should have been like, wait, well, where was it? Can you point where it was?
Would you go lay where it was?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to lay where my car would be. And so now you should. And so she's, it was just, and I said, and it's just, I'm just so bad. I'm like, well, and I'm hands on hips and I'm kind of, well, we had it towed. And it was like I told her, that puppy that you love, we just drowned it.
Yeah.
In a tiny little Home Depot bucket in the backyard. Mm-hmm. Like, so it's really visceral.
So when you said we had it towed, did she not already know that you had it towed?
Well, so you know what? That's a great question because you would have thought maybe she could have come and been like, hey, did y'all tow my car?
Right.
Like, where is it?
That's the obvious.
Or did someone steal it? Or did you steal it? I don't know what you're right. Like, what are the other options? So I'm like, we had it towed and you parked illegally. You can't park there. And she was, I mean, it was just deep sadness.
And I'm so fascinated. I would just want to be like, hey, I'm not, like, forget if I'm mad or whatever, just throw that out the door. What were you thinking?
Yeah.
Did you see the driveway?
So I'm really like, I went in space, got my hands up, kind of a paternal, kind of like a fatherly sort of posture I've taken, which I didn't mean to.
Right.
And I'm kind of like, hey, and she's like, oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. Do you know who towed it? Now, this is where it gets really interesting because I don't know who towed it. So now Annie's not there. So I have to call, but now I'm like, do I go inside and just sort of abandon them to which feels really cowardice.
Do you offer them like refreshments while they wait?
And so I'm like, well, I'm just going to call. I was like, I don't know, but my wife does. And they're like, okay. And it's she and a friend. And the friend's just kind of emotional support.
So is the friend the same sort of demeanor? Are they both a little kind of like timid or is the friend a little more confrontational or are they the same?
She hasn't said anything. Now she's looking at her a lot. So there's a lot of like I give a piece of information and the friend looks at her to kind of be like, whoa. Okay, we're together. So anyway, I just kind of, I was like, I need to call my wife and okay, and I call and I'm like, hey, do you know who towed the car? And he's like, I don't. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. And she's like, but I called the hub Nashville, which is like the government, and then they send a tow truck.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, you got, and so now I don't know, now we're like kind of talking. So it's like, I can't keep this posture this whole time.
Now it's like you're in it with them and
I'm
you're
sort
trying
of
to figure
joined
it
in. And
out.
so this is where it takes a really interesting right-hand turn. So I said, call Hub Nashville to get it. They tow the car. And she there was like a 3-second pause where she's looking at me like, well, like, could you do that?
Can you do that?
Yeah. Like again, very like sort of like I'm her dad in this exact moment.
Right. Yeah.
And it was just so, and I was and so I just let it be quiet and I was like, so, just call them and they'll tell you where the car is. And I just sort of, and at that moment, she goes, I'm sorry. And I was like, oh, golly, don't do. And I was like, well, and then I did the most awkward thing where I turned around and I'm like, well, you just kind of can't, like, no, just say it's okay. But then it's not okay.
Yeah.
So then I just doubled down on like, well, again, it's illegally parked. And she's just getting sadder. And I'm like, well, I'm going to head on in there and hide in the closet until you go. So sure enough, I close the door and then I do that hysterical thing for the next like 2 minutes where I'm like finding the one place in my house that I can look out the window without her seeing me. And now they're just standing in the place where the car was, just sort of standing there, like grieving it, but also on the phone. She's on speakerphone, and then the friend is kind of walking beside her, sort of like pacing. And then finally, which I thought was really interesting, the friend drove off in her car, and she walked up Belmont, which was really interesting to me because I was like, I don't know how that works. Anyway.
Maybe it ended the friendship. Maybe the friend was like, look, if you're someone who does this to people, parks in front of their driveway, I'm out.
Well, it was just... And
what
so,
if the friend like hot-wired a car and drove off?
She's like, we stole that car, and now the stolen car is towed. I don't even know what we do
so
now.
We can't even return it,
so
which we were planning on doing.
We are thieves.
We're not
now.
monsters.
We are thieves without an ability to do anything about it.
That's such a fascinating and awkward and great situation.
So anyway, I guess the question is this. Well, let me tell you what my sort of takeaway was, which really was there's a little bit of a moral of the story potentially for this, which is should have been towed. Should it have been towed, everybody? Like, what's the move here? Like, what would you do? And again, I want to qualify with people that live in the country and or sort of like non-downtown. They're like, why would anybody park in your driveway? But again, you have to sort of put your head in the place of someone who is like, we are in metropolitan Nashville. Yeah. Like parking is at a premium, not a premium. What I'm trying to say, it's just it's hard to get parking around here. At a premium, that's right. Yeah. I don't know if that's right. Anyway, so I guess one is what would you have done? I will say I feel like towing was the right thing because the other thing, I'm going to qualify this a million times. I don't mean to, but it's a out of town plate. I think it was Kentucky plate. So something I did have the thought of, like if this is a Davidson plate, which is our county, I'm towing you 100% of the time. Yeah. Like you need to know you live in Nashville, you can't park like this. Even when I saw the Kentucky plate, I was like, this is a tourist. They're not learning a lesson. They're just getting towed. Like they're not going to come. Maybe they live here. Maybe she's a waitress. That would have driven me crazy because it's like, there's restaurants down there. Anyway, I think that was a tricky thing because I'm like, well, do you, if you don't tow them, do you put like a thing on the thing? It's like, hey, next time we tow, do not park at the end of people's driveways, right? That is an option. That's a graceful, gracious option.
It's very gracious,
right? So some people. So I guess like 1, you tow it. 2, you do that. 3, you don't do it. I just want to know responses. I will say for me, a little bit of a lesson for life was I was really convicted, and I'm going to use that word because it's a Christian word and it's true. I was a little convicted at how angry I got supposing things about someone. Right. Because the minute she was a sweet, whatever person, I was like, oh gosh. And so then
it's not the person that you immediately go to
at all. So then
this person doesn't care about anyone in the world.
I want to hear y'all's opinions, but namely you, because you're sitting in the room with me right now. Annie sort of then put out this question. She put forth this question. Or no, this statement. She's like, there's no way that someone couldn't know what they're doing. And I do you
1,000% agree.
You agree?
Yes.
So you think even, let's call her Rachel, because Rachel's such a sweet name. Rachel pulls up with her friend. You don't think there's a world where Rachel pulls up, she's talking to a friend, they're completely lost in conversation. She's just oblivious. And I know you're thinking, but just stay with me. Yeah. Do you love this new Taylor Swift song? Oh my gosh, did you hear John put out a new mood song? Whatever the conversation. And they just see, and they aren't, she maybe is not using, maybe her right eye.
Right.
It's a glass eye.
It's been damaged.
She can't see to her right that's a driveway. Whatever. Right. She doesn't see it. They get out of the car. This is where this really breaks down. They get out of the car and they walk down.
Yeah. I mean, I could, first and foremost, if there was a mood CD in the car, I would not have towed it.
John. What if I looked in the freaking seat and there's like a Dave Barnes poster or a John McLaughlin
You would not
album.
have towed it. You couldn't have.
What a dilemma I would have felt.
You couldn't have. But here's the next layer of that. You're like, okay, I feel like I can't tow it. But you're giving her a gift. She's obviously a fan of Dave Barnes.
She's just got a photo
She's going to knock on the door, and Dave Barnes is going to come to the door.
Sure, she's crying in the photo from sadness, but it's still a picture
Worth
with me. Yeah, I had a million friends ask me, "Oh my gosh, she thinks she knew who you were," and I was like, "That would have been that's the nightmare." John, you okay?
Oh man,
are you okay,
Dave?
Yeah,
I'm feeling nauseous.
Oh man, was it something I said? Look, whatever it is, I have a solution.
Okay,
John, here's where it gets really good. You need Relief Band. Relief Band, don't interrupt me. It's the original anti-nausea wristband that quickly relieves and prevents nausea and vomiting associated with motion sickness, anxiety, migraines, podcast person that may drive you crazy, hangovers, morning sickness, chemotherapy, and more.
Hey, Dave, guess what?
What?
I just put one on, and I'm back.
Oh, my
Also, I'm in, okay?
Well,
so
you're back
Relief
in
Band
then.
is a band where I wear it on my wrist to give me relief from nausea that I can change its intensity, strong or weak, depending on how I'm feeling.
All right.
I mean, it's 100% drug-free, non-drowsy, works quickly before or after symptoms start, and has zero side effects.
I was going to ask if it
But the
had
only side effect I will say is happiness.
Oh my goodness! Then sign me
so
up for that one.
If you're not looking for that, then go someplace else.
Can I tell you one more thing?
Yeah.
Plus, Relief Band's new Premier Plus model provides advanced nausea relief, includes a digital clock, and utilizes smart skin sensing technology to preserve battery life. I love it.
Okay, now hypothetically, because I'm
know
sure
you
about
are,
it.
but just
hypothetically, what if I'm still not sure?
How about this?
Relief
Sorry,
Band?
I got excited.
Wow.
How about this? Directly from a real Relief Band customer, Michael, and I'm going to take on Michael's persona real quick.
Okay.
The Relief Band.
Oh, you're changing your outfit.
Let me just go. Let me go. Yeah. I didn't have anything on the first time. The Relief Band is the first product I've tried that eliminated the nausea of motion sickness. I've tried the pills, the patch, the pressure bands. That's how Michael laughs. None of those products have worked as well as the Relief Band.
Michael's the best.
He is.
Now you're back as Dave.
Yeah.
Okay, so listener, if you want to cure your nausea problem fast, join the hundreds of thousands of people who are nausea-free with Relief Band. Right now, we've got an exclusive offer just for Dadville listeners. That's just for you. Tell them about it, Dave.
No, it's Michael.
Or are you Michael
It's
still?
Michael.
Okay.
If you go to reliefband.com and use promo code DADVILLE, you'll receive 20% off plus free shipping. So head to reliefband.com and use our promo code, and use their promo code DADVILLE for 20% off, please, free shipping. Michael's a good
Michael's
speller.
so good at spelling.
He's a great speller.
Hey friends, I'm Annie F. Downs, author, speaker, podcaster, and part of the That Sounds Fun network. And I'm a big fan of seeing God move in our everyday lives. Can we talk for a second about what it really means to be a person of faith? It's waking up every day and choosing to trust him, even when life feels uncertain. It's standing firm in truth, walking in grace, and knowing that God is always with us. But I know staying rooted in faith is not always easy. At least it isn't for me. And that's why I love Glorify, the #1 Christian devotional app designed to help you start, grow, and strengthen your relationship with God every single day. One of the things I love about Glorify is the amount of options available to me through the app every day. Not only does it help me kick off my time with God with their daily devotional, but there's a song of the day to listen to and a community of other users available to engage with. It's really cool. With Glorify, you can begin your morning in scripture, reflect with the daily devotional, and end the day with the daily walk with God, this immersive experience that quiets your heart and refocuses your spirit. It's one of my favorite hacks, something simple but powerful that keeps you anchored when life gets busy. Join me and over 20 million believers who have found encouragement through Glorify. Download the app today at glorify-app.com/podcast, and let's keep walking in faith together. Again, that's glorify-app.com/podcast.
But here's the thing, and I've said this already on here, but I am someone who is not a black and white person.
Yeah.
Everything is gray. This is black and white.
Yeah.
This is one of the rare situations in life, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I like these kinds of situations because it feels good for things to be binary.
It is. Yeah. You are wrong.
Yeah. I'm just like, I mean, yes, you don't have to be what you're saying that you're convicted of. Like you don't have to like start constructing, and this is what human beings do. Like we have conversations for other people. We, all that kind of stuff. We construct these stories that often are not true. Mm-hmm. So like when she knocks on your door, it's like, oh, I was expecting some jerk guy who just doesn't have any regard for other people's lives. So that, that shouldn't happen. But you gotta tow the car. The only thing else I would say is Amy and I were sitting on the porch and I wanted to watch the whole thing. And first thing was someone from whatever it is, not a cop, but like traffic.
See, this when you told me this was fascinating to me.
Yeah, and the irony was, of course, they drove around for a while because they can't find a place to park. But finally, they get a parking spot, and they walk down to the car, and I'm thinking, oh, they're going to get a ticket. And then they're at the car forever, and I'm like, they just keep looking at the license plate. They're on like a little phone or something like that. forever. I mean, come to find out, they're just waiting on the tow truck to come, and then it tows the car away.
Oh, so that person was there when the tow truck got there?
Yeah.
I didn't even know. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they were there for a long time. So only thing I would say is like, it would be nice maybe to have the option of like, okay, this is your driveway that's being blocked. I think you, as the driveway owner, as the victim, you should have the option of like, do I want this person to just get a ticket, or should they be towed? Like in the case of our neighbor down the street.
I thought you were about to say, you could shame them too.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to be here and come out? You can write 5 sentences. No more than 100 words.
You can write some comments on the ticket.
Oh my gosh.
But in our neighbor's situation, he could have been paged by the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
And then he's got to get to the ER as he's an ER doctor.
Yeah.
And he can't get out of his driveway. Yeah. I mean, that is, but in your situation.
Someone could have been like, oh my gosh, I need a bridge on this song.
Now.
And I can't get out.
There's troubled water. We need a bridge now. Dave Barnes. And you can't get there.
Someone's getting married and we don't have a song. I mean, and then I can't.
Yeah. And then the marriage doesn't work out.
That's exactly the point.
You know, kids are involved.
It's
broken
messy,
home.
Messy.
Generational sin. That's how I feel about the situation.
Yeah.
I just think it is, yes, it is conceivable that someone could be so lost in like the conversation or whatever, or they probably were looking for parking forever.
Yeah.
Now, it has happened probably to all of us where like you're someplace, you've been looking for parking forever. Finally, you find a spot, and then you come back to your car and you've got a ticket, and you're like, I didn't even see the sign that said street cleaning or something like that. Yeah. But that's a driveway's a driveway.
Yeah. I just have a feeling because, you know, of the 1.3 is it per listeners right now of these episodes, skewing 1/4. Someone I just have a feeling is laughing really hard right now, going, "Oh no, I've done that 100," and that's who I want to hear. From.
Yeah. I want to hear all the sides. I want to hear the best version, the best argument against how I feel.
Yeah.
Like, what's the thing I'm not thinking of?
Well, yeah.
Because I can't see it at this point.
You said this before too, when we were talking about it. There's also a world where somebody thinks they're going to grab to go.
Right.
And they're like, I'm going to run the risk that I may get busted, but this should take no more than 3 minutes.
And in that situation, if they come back and, like, let's say it was my driveway, I'm out in the yard and I'm, you know, if they were like, I was looking for parking forever, I just needed to grab something, I'm sorry. I'd be like,
hey, all good.
I mean, I still might be annoyed.
Give me some fries.
Yeah, what do you have? Give me half of the meal that you just bought.
Feed it to me. Yeah, it's okay. So scenario 1.
Yeah.
By the way, I appreciate your support. I really feel seen and like supported in what I felt was like potentially a tricky scenario.
I've never felt so mobilized.
And Rachel, if you're listening, I'm like half sorry. I'm conditionally sorry.
I'm
not sorry. I'm glad you got towed. So don't ever do that again. Well, that was a funny.
She could have. If you hadn't towed her.
Yeah.
Let's say she just keeps doing this.
Yeah.
Next time, she parks in front of somebody's house and they just bring a baseball bat out
and they just beat her.
Well, I was gonna say they beat the car.
Oh, sure. First.
That's
a warning.
Then they key it.
Yeah.
They got to go find like an old school key. No one has them anymore.
They just take the fob and run it. It's just like,
it's just a real faint little mark.
I will say this. I feel like one of the other things that was I totally lost my train of thought because I was thinking about the key fob. Okay, well, let's move on. We've talked about that enough. So first of all, 1, what would you people do? 2, is there someone that's ever done that and be like, I have a funny story about it? That's what we want to know. Second scenario, what do you do? The other night we had, I've lived in Nashville now for, if you include MTSU, Middle Tennessee, for 30 years? Oh my gosh.
30 years,
30
really?
years in Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
And there's been storms and tornadoes and stuff, but not like, what am I trying to say? Well, that's actually a tricky thing to say because now we have the ability to track it because of our good friends at Nashville Severe Weather, Nash Severe Weather, right? On Twitter, and these guys are superstars.
They're awesome.
So what they do now, they've been doing this for a while, is when a potential dangerous storm is coming through Middle Tennessee, they go live on YouTube with radar stuff, and they will just sit and for as long as it is happening, they will stay live and talk you through what's going on. It's incredible. It's huge shout out to those guys.
That's all I like. I was just on their Twitter account or their YouTube.
That's it.
Live.
That's it.
Just listening to what they're doing.
So I guess I have to qualify what I was about to say. I've never seen a night be like that before. Obviously, there have been nights like that before, but I think now with the advent of technology we have, you can actually stay up with it like to the second. Right. So anyway, we had this storm roll through, and it was kind of one of those things that a couple days out, the murmurings are starting like, hey, we they're tweeting about it. You're starting to see some weather. It's like, hey, this could be a pretty intense few hours here, whatever. So here's my question for the people. One, I don't know what you did, which I want to hear, but I had a interesting moment when I was laying in the bed that night. Because I'm going to bed and Xana's, I was actually like this as a kid, where I had like a year or two where I was really scared of tornadoes.
Oh, really?
26 to 27. And it was just one of those things where I'd seen Twister.
Sure.
Whoopsie.
Oh, yeah.
And I was probably around her age. I bet around 10, 11 and living in Mississippi and, because Indiana, you guys have a lot of tornadoes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because that's that Midwest quarter, right?
Yeah. My whole childhood was I have lots of memories of like going down to the basement and like at school going into the hallways.
And of tornado stuff too with that, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
What if you're just talking about basements? Well, David, I just loved a good basement.
What if I just wasn't following what you're saying? Oh man, like the trim.
It was scary but dark and damp but in a really exciting way.
But I don't have any memory of an actual tornado
coming through. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of have this up until 5 years ago here in Nashville. I have this thing where you don't even feel like they're real.
Yeah, yeah.
You're just like, well, no, when there's a tornado warning, you go to like the interior room or the basement or whatever, but nothing ever happens.
Right.
That's how I kind of felt about it.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
Because Mississippi is not. I imagine you guys got more because that sort of gnarly little Midwest, those like 4 states in a row, the Tornado Alley or whatever they call it. I know that's much more into the Mississippi. We had quite a few, but I was really scared of them for a couple of years, and it's weird because I do feel like it just kind of goes away. I don't know if you just outgrow that fear or something, but I was like, if storms were coming, I was like, hey, like what's going on? Like, are we okay? Yeah. Xana's kind of in that right now. And I remember one of the cooler moments of my childhood is there was a guy in my dad's church who had a little prop plane, and a tornado had come through, like a legit. It didn't hit our town, but it really close. And it was a huge deal, as those things are. And he took me and my dad up to see this was the first time I'd ever done anything like that, like a little, twin engine kind of thing. And we just kind of flew over and we just followed the path of this tornado. And it was crazy to see. It was like probably 3 or 4 days after it happened. So my relationship with tornadoes is tricky because I used to be scared of them. I've never seen one, but I've been around a few. Yeah. Dated one in college.
Heyo.
Let's shut it down. Thanks for listening to Davil, guys. So I have a healthy fear of them, but I haven't ever seen one or had to be in the middle of one, like a lot of people I'm sure you're listening have. So this is where I'm going with it. So it makes it tricky on what to do in these moments. So we're going to bed. Xana's kind of, hey, we okay? And of course, I'm exuding ultimate confidence because chances of something happening are so low.
Yeah.
But I'm like, don't lie. So I'm like, well, you'll be fine. I promise to be fine. So I made this critical error before I go to bed because I downloaded this. I just totally forgot that you get the natural things on your phone, the government, the issued alerts. Jeez, why is that so hard? Is everything okay, Dave?
It's Friday. It's been a long week.
Thank you. And so I just forget. So I downloaded an app. I paid $10 for the year. It's like it's the one the National Severe Weather set guys were like, hey, if you really want like really, really up to date alerts, this is the one. So I download it. It's like $10 for the year. I pay for it, whatever. So as I'm going to bed, I hit like turn alerts on. It goes through do not disturb the whole thing. So, I'm like, it'll wake me up if something's happening. And so I go to bed. Well, at 1:32, and I didn't realize that Xana was, so I should add, Annie was seeing some friends in Oxford that night. So she's not at home. The guy she works with, she says he's really nice.
She talks about
him all the
model.
Anyway, I'm not asking questions. He seems nice, and he sends money, and looks like Xana. Anyway, I digress. Apparently, Annie said that's where she gets her fear of tornadoes from. And so, but how are they related? I asked, and then anyway, she just said eat more pizza, and I did, and I usually do. But so Xana's, I didn't realize we have a little pallet in our room, and Xana, so she is on me. I mean, as fast as a little girl can be terrified, she is that. So she is on the verge of tears. Oh my God. And I'm like, hey, hold on. So I look at my phone. I had apparently forgotten to turn off just tornado warning alert. So it's severe thunderstorm alert.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm so mad because I'm like, are you kidding me? So I'm like, well, so I look at her and I couldn't believe she did it. But I was like, hey, I promise you I will be on this. You can go to bed. And she went to bed, and stayed in bed the whole night, which kind of gives away what I'm about to say or where I'm going with this. But I had the dilemma in that moment to go, okay, thank God for the National Severe Weather guys. So I turned that on. I'm watching them, and they're doing that thing where like, hey. And I was like, oh, my God. They're like,
I know.
We're about an hour out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I could have slept for another hour and a half. But I'm like, well, I'm away. Of course, my heart is racing. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to sort of, sit here. And I was kind of drifting out, but I watched it. And I had that moment, this is where I'm going, where I was like, okay, what is my move here? Right? Like, it's coming in. They're like, they wanted touchdown, remember, like southwest of us by about, a lot of miles, like 60 to 100 miles or something. They're like, we're not seeing, of course they're saying this over and over, which I so appreciate. Like, we're not seeing cyclonic activity or whatever.
Yeah.
And they'd show the map, like this little thing we're watching, it's not looking bad. And so I was like, I'm just going to roll the dice here that we're okay because I really don't want to wake my kids up. And I would say even more so, I didn't want their little anxious, terrified selves when, again, it's really low chance this thing is going to happen. But it could.
Totally.
Nashville's had tornadoes. And so anyway, I kind of drift in and out. I turned the phone back off because I'm like, they're like, it's looking okay. I just keep it. And I had the alerts thing on. And of course, the government now is just sending them like crazy.
Yeah.
So that thing is waking me up or just kind of keeping me involved. So finally, 4:00, they're like, hey, it looks like everything's probably okay. There was like maybe one more little thing in Williamson County, but not here. So I go to bed. But I didn't realize. I get up the next morning and like Ben, my son, is like,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's the oldest one. And so he's got a watch and he's got it in his little locker downstairs. He's like, Dad, all of my friends were in the basement. And I was like, John, I thought of you. I was like, John loves basements. And so, I just had assumed everybody played it like I did, but apparently literally everybody I know went. Did y'all end up going to your basement? So that's what I mean. So I guess what was it? So I just played. I was like, I just don't. One, I knew Xana might never go to sleep again, like of any night ever.
Well, I'd be worried in that situation that Ben's going to tell Xana, and then Xana's going to be like, wait, everyone that we know was down in their basement, and Dad slept through it.
Well, so it's funny. They sort of called me on it. They were like, because, we'll get anyone there. And so, he was like.
You know what I would have done? I would have been like, oh my, sweetie, you don't remember? I carried you down to the bed. Did you not remember that?
See the footsteps, one set of footsteps on the stairs.
one set of footprints.
It was so I just but thankfully, because Ben was kind of like, why don't we get down there? It's like, hey, I sort of took the risk. I was watching the whole night, didn't make, and he was. Yeah. They were like, at that point, thank God, which means a lot to me because they trust me. That show they trust. But they were like, okay, cool, and they moved on. But I literally I think everybody else I know went in their basements.
Yeah.
Which I was like, ooh. So y'all went down there.
Well, we didn't go down. Our basement is like a crawl space, but we always go into our closet.
Okay.
That's the most interior.
That's what my parents did too.
Yeah. Yeah. But our little alert was like the government thing.
Yeah.
Like that went off at like 2:30 or 2:40 or something like that. And it's always I kind of wish that Amy in those moments would just be like, let's go get the girls. Let's do it.
Yeah, right.
But she's like, should we go get the girls?
Oh.
And my mind's not functioning yet.
Yeah.
I'm like clinically insane in this moment because I've just woken up. I'm piecing life back together. But in those moments though, it always is like, we're probably going to be fine.
Yeah.
But what if we're not? Do I don't know. You know what I always think, which our houses are, all these houses are super old. Like our house has been standing for 109 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's like that, it's one of those pieces of logic where like on one side of the coin is for going right, on the other side of the coin is the exact same argument, but you go left kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, it's been standing for 109 years. What are the odds that it's going to be torn down today?
Yeah.
But then it's like, well,
that's what everybody thinks.
It's been there for 109 years. It's bound to get, this.
It's tornado time.
It's tornado time eventually.
110 to 115. That's
They
go toward those houses, the wood there.
But we we went up and got the girls. And of course, we got to get the bunnies.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Bring them down. And, the girls are in there. Luca fell right back asleep. She actually slept the whole rest of the night in the closet.
That's good.
And I'm just sitting up watching the...
Did all the girls sleep and you stayed up?
No, like Livy was just up. I mean, I was worried that she was just...
Oh.
She was in a great mood. She was happy.
But she was up.
This is like fun. The bunnies are peeing in the closet and I'm cleaning it up. It's a great time. And, I'm watching those guys. I love those guys.
Yeah, they're great.
They're all like in their
little
different
bubbles,
homes
windows,
and talking. And it's like I'm watching them so intently because I'm waiting, as we all are, I think.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for them to say the thing.
Oh, wait. Okay, we're seeing it. We've got footage. Touchdown.
Yeah, like we're in this limbo. And they're talking, and they're saying all these things that I don't understand some of the terminology.
Yeah.
And then Amy would be like, "What's going on?" And I'll repeat that terminology like I do understand.
Yeah.
And I'm just waiting for them to be like, "Okay, you're good.
Yeah.
Go back to bed."
Yeah.
Which of course they're not going to say that outright.
Yeah.
But I forget how long we were up, but it was like at least 35, 45 minutes. And then we went back to bed, and then we did it again at like maybe 4.
Yep.
Something like that. I mean, I think I got like 3.5 hours of sleep that night.
I laughed with Annie last night. I was like, I bet you everybody in Nashville went to bed tonight at 9:00. I was in the bed at 8:45 last night, and I was so tired.
Yeah, I flew out to Denver and did this thing with our friend Bobby, and Bobby was like, everyone I know in Nashville. When I got in the car, she was like, "How are you doing?" Everyone I know in Nashville didn't sleep last night, except for Dave Barnes and his children. They were fast asleep.
I'm telling you, I felt so. I mean, let me be clear. I was a nervous wreck the whole time watching it. So I wasn't sort of flippant about it because I was like poised to, hand on the covers of throwing them off and flying out of bed to grab the kids. Yeah. But I was just like. And not to be that guy, but just with what we've been through over the last couple of years, like anytime I can keep them away from something that's nerve-wracking.
You don't want to unnecessarily get them worked
so I
up.
think that did genuinely factor in because, probably, gosh, I don't know, 5. Do you remember the last time everybody went in their basement that one time we were all texting each other? Do you remember that tornado?
Was that the one 5 years ago?
I think so. I think so. And I remember that night being so crazy because we all got on a text thread, all of us. And we're like, you guys, and it was like this kind of fun little communal Nashville thing that, you know, we went down. It was like, okay. Because I think it was like, again, well, one, we didn't have these guys who were actually saying like, hey, we're not seeing anything.
Yeah.
We're not seeing anything. And it was like, okay, if you get a warning, you get down there. And I think that's kind of not the good and bad thing about what they do, because there's nothing bad about what they do. But I do think it's probably a little trickier because, and again, all I'm waiting for them to say is we've spotted one anywhere.
Right. Well, I think what you're saying is like when we were kids, we would have probably slept through this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Unless you hear the old school siren that goes off, unless you hear that, you don't have any alert going off.
Yeah.
It's not like your fax machine
goes
off.
Well, they also had, for a minute, I'm sure you saw this, but they had somebody out there that was like driving around they had a feed on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it wasn't for long, but like, so it was not just that, like, you know, these guys are helping. Like, it was like, man, we have a lot of eyes on this.
Yeah.
You know, they're on Twitter. They've got friends texting them all over the city. Like, and so it was like, it just feels like there's going to be enough time to respond if something happens, which is, of course, what everybody says.
You know, the funny thing is when the girls are in the closet and I went around, I kind of opened a couple windows. I don't even know if this is still, this might be a thing from the 80s that's been debunked. But they always said, like, crack a window because the air pressure sometimes can change and it can shatter your windows.
Yes.
I don't know if that's still true, but I walked out on my porch. It's like if my car breaks down on the side of the road and I pop the hood.
Yeah.
Like, as you're doing it, you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm just walking outside.
Checking it out.
I'm just looking at the sky as if I'm going
to. Looks tornadic.
Does it look tornadic? I think we're good.
Cyclonic activity. Babe, just so you know, I went outside and it's not looking like that.
The tornadic cyclone ratio is lower than the barometric pressure.
Oh, and you're looking for any. I do remember growing up, the things that really sort of got in my brain and terrified me were that they said that basically like two things happen when a tornado was like basically happening close to you. It would stop raining.
Yeah.
And then you would hear a train.
Yeah, that's
so that whole night, what was terrifying me laying in the bed was it was raining so hard that it would be, which would cancel one out. So I knew I was okay. But it would sound like it was so loud.
Yeah.
And there was like numerous times I got up and looked at the window and it's like, okay, that's the rain. But I was like, either that's a plane flying overhead or a train that was just how loud the rain was. But
yeah, I don't think I've ever been in as torrential a
rain
downpour
as that was. Yeah. And we've had a lot of flooding this week because of it. The only other time, and this is so random that I remember this, but me and DeTrey, so me and Chris, my manager for years and years, and Andrew Rip were out playing shows. We were in Indiana, as a matter of fact. Yeah, we were just south of Indianapolis, and I'd played a show there. Huge, massive show, tons of people. And that's probably assumed. I should probably stop saying it that way. It was a show, henceforth. And we're all dead asleep. It was, don't you miss these days? It was, I was in a bed, Chris was in a bed, and then Rip was in a, like a pull-out thing.
Yeah.
All in the same room.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know if I heard the siren first or it was just unbelievably loud wind and rain. 3rd floor of a hotel. And I remember kind of laying there like, And so at some point, I think I heard Andrew moving a little bit, and I finally was like, "You guys up?" And they're like, "Yep." And I was like, "Should we be nervous?" So we all turn on the TV, and it is like the guys like, "Hey, it wasn't coming, but it was like around us somewhere." So not like, "Hey, this is this road," and I'm like, "Oh my God, that's the road this hotel's on." It was like, it is around you, and we had this hysterical moment where like, what do we do?
Mm-hmm.
But do we go to the lobby? Just and we opened the window and it's sideways rain. Chris DeTrey, who's probably the most unflappable human I know, held us together because Rip and I can spook a little.
Yeah.
DeTrey was like, dude, I grew up in Kansas. This is nothing. Trust me. And he's got every fact.
This is just a Kansas
you would know
Tuesday.
Because if you see cattle flying by, we want to probably get downstairs.
Sure.
This is an easy Kansas Tuesday. That's like a terrible drink. I'll take the Kansas Tuesday. But he was kind of the one that was like, I just remember Rip and I were very obviously like kind of looking to him for like, we're going to know if he gets nervous, we're going downstairs.
Yeah, he's the flight attendant in this situation.
That's exactly right. And so...
I mean, being in a hotel is probably...
And third floor. Well, yeah, it's probably maybe safer. I don't know.
Well, it's funny that Xana is going through this at this time because Luca went through this at this exact same age. She had a while there where she was really, really freaked about weather. Yeah. And one time it was me and the girls, and we were at a hotel, and this front came through, and it looked bad. You know.
Would you remember where?
It was in Bloomington, Indiana.
Look at there.
Actually.
There you go.
And because I remember a plaque on the wall that said Dave Barnes, 2004, March 28th to 29th, late checkout. And I remember her like starting to hyperventilate.
Oh, man.
And she was so freaked out. And she wanted to go down to the lobby. She didn't want to be up in our room, which I can totally understand. But at the time I was thinking like, this is a nice, like we're in like a.
Well, you still only stay in.
It's four seasons or nothing,
Were you worried about the private jet parked outside?
Yes and no. I mean, it was chained up, so it should be good. Actually, to be completely honest, the thing that I take from that moment, which I don't know, it sounds like it went differently with you and Xana the other night. Is I'm like, I want my kids to be, if they're scared of something, I want them to look at me.
Yeah.
And be like, the way I will feel about this is determined by how Dad feels about this.
Absolutely.
And I was like, hey, we're fine. I've been through a million storms in my life. Like, we're fine. Like, let's be safe.
Yeah.
We can go down to the lobby if that will make you feel better. Let's go down. But we're okay.
Yeah.
And it didn't, she was still worked up.
Yeah.
Which is, it's like one of those moments where you're like, yeah, this is not, I've had a million of these recently. This isn't exactly how I thought fatherhood would be.
Yeah.
And it almost in every one of those scenarios, it involves me not having as much control as I thought that I would.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Well, I will say this. Here's my asterisk to that moment is she is experiencing visceral things that you know what I mean? It's not like
hijacking her.
Well, and kind of rightfully so.
Right.
I mean,
it is freaky. I mean,
she's looking out the window going like, all right, I appreciate that you feel confident, but you can't stop what's happening out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and so I think that.
But I'm like, you're supposed to, at this age, have a completely unrealistic and irrational view of my strength. When was that phase? Why did we skip that phase?
I didn't ever have that phase. And that's what's hard about my kids is they looked at me pretty immediately and I'm like, okay.
They're like, Dad, roll your sleeve up a little bit. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
We better head to the basement.
He's scared of college girls at the doorstep. So I get So folks, this is what we need from you. Just hit us up on the IG. We're going to post a video. Hit up and just say, 1, what do you do in the towing scenario? 2, has anyone been that person that's parked? 3,
no. Hey, and listen, no shame.
Yeah, no shame.
We're not going to come after you.
And then I need sort of like a weathercaster. Oh boy.
Keep going.
Yeah, I need a weathercaster to comment like this is you should. What tornado's coming through? This is when you really have to get out of bed and go downstairs.
Yeah,
that's what we need to know. And again, Rach, if you're listening, we're so sorry. We're not sorry about the towing.
We're not sorry, but I hope you're having a good day.
Let's be real, talking about intimacy can be awkward, even with your spouse, but it doesn't have to be. We are Alana, Kyle, and Tira, hosts of the Kingdom Sexuality Podcast, and we're all about keeping it real and helping you add some spice and deeper connection into your marriage, specifically when it comes to what happens in the bedroom.
We don't shy away from the tough conversations that often get missed in Christian circles. With us, you'll get laughs, tips, fresh ideas, and challenges to strengthen your relationship and bring it to the next level.
Because let's face it, navigating intimacy as a Christian can be confusing, and finding safe, wholesome resources can be tough. So, subscribe now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and join us each week on the Kingdom Sexuality Podcast.
Are you looking for your new favorite podcast that's both entertaining and will challenge you in your walk with Jesus? Hey, we're Mac and Ken's from the For the Girl podcast.
Every Tuesday, we break down everything that we wish someone had told us in our 20s. From faith and relationships to wild career transitions, we're getting real about all of our mess-ups and the things God has taught us along the way.
Think of us as your hilarious weekly dose of honest conversation with your internet besties who've been exactly where you currently are. So come check out For the Girl on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you love to listen to podcasts. And make sure to click follow on our show so that each new episode is dropped right into your personal feed.